Unspoken Issues.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Unspoken Issues podcast. If there's one thing that I love to do, that's talk turtles. I'm a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. This is a book that actually did not catch my attention until way after it got released. And I really wanted to read this, and I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to do so. And the guy that put it on the schedule, sitting right over there, Dean Compton. Dean, tell us about TMNT. Is it just Bodycount? Because that's all I saw on the cover.
It just says Bodycount on the cover. It started as Casey Jones and Raphael. It was going to be published by Mirage before Mirage stopped publishing comic books in totality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always call it TMNT Body Count so we know exactly what we're talking about. But I think it's just called Body Count. That's all it says on the cover.
Yeah. Tell me why you put this one on the schedule.
Because you wanted to read it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I cannot thank you. It's just, I'm so excited to talk about it. I really am. Okay. All right. So, Derry, TMNT Body Count. Was it on your radar back in the day? Have you been wanting to read it? Have you read it already?
It's so funny because I'm sure I would have picked it up at the time, but because it didn't say TMNT or Ninja Turtles or feature the characters prominently on the cover for at least the first few, I was completely unaware of it. So it was like this major hole in my Ninja Turtles collection, which is otherwise complete. And a friend realized that and gave it to me. And at first I had no idea what it was, and it sat on a shelf. And then finally I cracked it open and I saw Raphael, and I asked him, what is this? And he's like, I bet you've never heard about this before. And I was like, I never have. So when Dean mentioned it, it's so funny. I didn't even remember what it was, because the same thing, I expected it to be called like Raph and Casey Jones, but going back to Body Count, it's like, man, it's a Ninja Turtles comic, but it's unlike any other.
Is it? Is it a Ninja Turtles comic? It's Raphael in it.
Sure.
I guess
I'm just playing around.
It's Kevin Eastman. So at the end of the day, it's like, it'd be saying like a Fantastic Four comic drawn by Kirby isn't canon, even if all the characters are acting. This is a Kevin Eastman comic. This is the dad as far as I'm concerned. So it's got one of them. It's got a bunch of them. It's got none of them. It's a Kevin Eastman comic. It's probably tied into the Ninja Turtles in some way.
And the title of this story does not lie.
No, it does not.
There is a lot of people that are dead by the end of this story.
Everybody who isn't Raphael, Casey Jones, like two other people, everybody else is dead.
Right? Yeah. If you're with
people in the bus station, people at the gas station, people on the street, people in the club, like just people, everybody. They're all dead. That club dead.
You guys watched a lot of the John Woo movies from the late 80s, early 90s that they're referencing here?
I've seen a couple of them.
Yeah, so that's how those movies are. Everyone dies. Just everyone's getting gunned down. I don't know how many people live on Hong Kong, but at the end of these movies, most of them got to be shot to death. So it was funny reading this and remembering that the main antagonist was Johnny Woowoo. Those movies would have just come over like Body Count, Hitman. Everyone was inspired by that new aesthetic. It's almost funny because it's like, no one is sacred. Everyone dies.
That's true.
Not only has some of those movies, the John Woo movies they did here, but like Pulp Fiction's out now. Stuff that was inspired by the John Woo movies, like now that's even coming out. So Pulp Fiction's out at the time this gets published. So I don't know. It is wild though, just how even though I was told going in with the title Body Count, it is wild how many people just die.
In gruesome ways. Like, it is not like possibly off panel, anything like that. No, there are heads exploding. There are body parts flying off, organs. It's just gruesome. Derry, what do you think about Simon Bisley here?
I hate to start off on a negative note, gents, but not a fan. Never been a fan. Not the British stuff, not the heavy metal stuff, just not a fan. Clearly there's talent and technique and all the other stuff you have to be an artist. I can't draw a stick figure, but Every time I look at this, it's like Bill Sienkiewicz. I know you're good at what you do. I know you have your fans. I'm not one of them. This was rough rereading this. I had to go over a lot of panels again and again just to make sure I was picking up on everything. I got to say, if someone like Mark Bagley is a name where I see it and I automatically buy the book no matter who's writing it, this is kind of the opposite. If I see someone, if he's doing the art, it's like, well, better be a particularly good writer or else I might skip it.
Better be Kevin Eastman.
Hey, man, yeah, that'll do it, right? It's like you got these holes in the collection that you're trying to fill because Eric Larson put out a 4-issue miniseries one time, and it's like, I guess I'm holding on to these Simon Bisley comics.
I like Bisley, but I tend to like him more in smaller doses. Like, give me a pinup, give me a poster. I think he's highly stylized, and anybody who's highly stylized, it's going to be hit or miss. And I think that for me, this doesn't miss, but it's definitely not the style that I'm usually accustomed to. Although I do think he's good. I think he's good at it. And I think there's some really good pages in here. The double page of the church is really good. For the most part, he's not one of my favorites, but I get why people like him. He's doing something that he knows everybody's not going to like. Mark Bagley doesn't do anything that's too far away from the norm.
Yeah.
Which he does it great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's not like it's hard. I don't want to be like, it's hard to have an opinion. It's hard to have a negative opinion about him because he's just so good at what he does. And it's so well within the common framework of superhero comics.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Well, we've already talked about the creative team pretty much. This was on shelves March of 1996. So I'm just about to hit 18 years old. And again, like I said, I'm really surprised that this flew under the radar for me. And then again, my LCS may not have carried it.
So you're about to turn 18, but the cartoon is still on the air. Are you still watching the cartoon? Or are you just like, well, I like the Turtles, but I'm not tuning into that cartoon every week?
Yeah, I probably stopped watching the Turtles. There's a gap where I moved in 93 and all we had now, I did not have any TV station aside from what the rabbit ears could pick up from 93 forward. In 96, I go to OU and I'm able to get into the dorm and I have cable again. Thank goodness. But I as far as the rabbit ears can get, I watched NBC and that was it. And 96, as far as cartoons go on NBC, I don't think they exist.
I think they've been replaced by the teen lineup.
Yep.
California Dream and Saved by
Saved
the
by
Bell.
the Bell. How many years more do we have of the Turtles cartoon at this point?
So if my timing is correct, this saw print right before the very last season of the original cartoon would air. It was a shortened season.
It's just an apocalyptic season.
Yeah, it's real. I had to re-look it up because I only remembered bits and pieces of it. I don't think I've actually seen it since 1996, 1997. But yeah, to Dean's point, it's really weird. They're not fighting the Shredder. You could definitely say that Turtle Mania was on the way out. My point is that if this had been called TMNT Bodycount, I definitely would have bought it.
Right.
I absolutely should not have been reading this at 11 years old. I just think it's funny where it's like the movies would have been in theaters, or maybe they would have just wrapped up. The cartoon is about to wrap up, but it's definitely for kids. And then you got this thing, and you got Eric Larson just being like, nah, man, these ain't your daddy's turtles.
There was this weird feeling to this where it's like, these ain't your daddy's turtles, but it's still you. Of course they're not your daddy's turtles.
Well, I sit here and I say that I never saw anything about Bodycount. That thing had to have been promoted in the Turtles comic and Image at the time, right? Like, they had to have promoted it then.
I think so, because the publisher of Image is way behind it. Like, he's editing the book and doing the letters column. So you'd think that it was I can recall a house ad or something for it somewhere, but I don't know how much they were willing to spend. Again, these ain't your daddy's turtles, even though, of course, they're not your daddy's turtles. It's still me. The Turtles only hit like 7 years ago. So,
right.
You know,
and I was being facetious, but I mean, the TMNT #1 is actually just as violent as this.
For sure.
Yeah,
that's what I was about to say. They're trying to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
And they think that going back to basics it'll get a whole new generation. The people who were buying Image comics who weren't buying Turtles comics to buy Turtles comics. These things also, I think they've been decontinuity, but like they take place in the Image universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my understanding from what I know about Eric Larson and this thing is that he basically said if it happened in a Mirage book and Mirage considered it canon, we will consider it canon.
Yeah.
But to Dean's point, now they're in the Image universe. So all those Rob Liefeld characters got killed off in Mars Attacks Image. We're swapping in all the Mirage guys. Going forward, he makes a big point of saying in the letters pages that Mako, who's a shark themed Savage Dragon character,
Yeah,
he's
like
going
a force villain, right?
So Larson,
Cool as hell.
He is.
I love the dragon. I love his entire rogues gallery. I'd still be reading the book today if it wasn't just like porn. But yeah, this thing is set squarely in the Image universe for as long as it lasts. But Jesse, have you read the entire Image volume of TMNT?
No, I picked up the first few issues. Okay. I think that me and Armstrong did one where Donatello got messed up real bad. Yeah, he's a cyborg.
It gets wild.
He becomes a cyborg,
It is pretty crazy. I know it goes off the rails a bit.
Yeah.
Gary Carlson's a great, he's a really underrated writer.
I agree with Dan. It's funny, too, because I always tell people that a good character, you can put him in anything, right? Batman can be in anything. It's how durable the character is. These guys are the same way because, for the most part, when the Image run winds down and Mirage starts publishing in a modified fashion, they just kind of ignore what they don't want, but they don't go out of their way to say that didn't happen. It's just like, no, hey, we want to pick up where we left off. So it's funny because the Turtles, who are in many ways like the definitive 90s property, get as dark as everyone else. Once they realize that's run its course, they just go back to what they're good at. Today, they're owned by Nickelodeon. They're an evergreen property. If you're a little kid, you can watch the new one. If you're like us, you can pop in the original movie. And I think Secret of the Use is 35 this year.
Yeah, it is.
Let me make 2 points real quick. Number one, another thing is, what's Image Comics? What's its whole thing?
I'm talking about the fact that we have ownership of our own books.
Creator ownership.
Right.
Right. The Ninja Turtles, creator ownership.
Yep.
Back to basics, back to what do we know about Image Comics? So they must be creator owned. So I think it's also a really neat full circle moment that the Turtles are now being published by Image.
Yeah.
The other thing you talked about, a character being a good character because you can put him in anything. I think there are two kinds of characters like that. One of them is Batman, who you can change. Batman can be very funny. Batman can be very serious. Batman can do these different things, and you can put him in anything, and it will work, but you can change him around. Other great characters like the Punisher. The Punisher has to be the Punisher.
Yeah.
I love the Punisher, so he's my example of that. But there are other examples of that too. Like Rocket Raccoon has to be Rocket Raccoon.
Right.
Like otherwise, it's not. Bugs Bunny has to be Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny can't ever be anything different. So it's funny that you mentioned that because I was talking about that 2 days ago with Emily.
Right, because he can meet Archie. He can meet the Predator.
Right.
He can do
sure, as long as he never changes.
But you can drop him in other stuff because he is so consistent that everyone else just kind of plays off him. You have the hyper flexible property, and then you have the stalwart property, but it still works. Everyone around him,
right? Everything becomes everything.
That's a really good point. Yeah. You make a very good point with the creator owned because the TMNT kind of helps that black and white boom. These guys create this thing that's a parody. They put it out there. It does very well. And then almost overnight, they skyrocket to probably being the most successful comic book creators of all time, probably still to this day. They carry everyone with them for the black and white boom. And then that crashes a few years after that. And my timing might be slightly off. You have Image, which has a lot of the same principles. Instead of all going out on their own, they've banded together, right? What is Image? It's a bunch of houses like in Game of Thrones coming together and saying, well, we're going to make sure that the nation continues while each house prospers. It's really interesting that they ended up there. I think they did quite well. I remember at the time people were not loving the darker turn, but Dean said something to this before. It's like you allowed them to survive the natural end. They tried to do something similar with Power Rangers. I remember there was a Power Rangers book being published by Image, but with the Turtles, with Eastman standing over there and with knowing that there was a very violent past that they pulled from, it's like, no, we might be able to, the movies are over, the cartoon's over, the toys only have a few more years, but it's like, no, we can do this. We can go back to our roots and say, let's show action. Let's let artists do what artists do, and let's see if we can drag this out.
Get moody, get very moody, get very stylized, because that's why people like this. Because it's funny, the Turtles are a parody, but it's played very straight when you read the books.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it work. This hyper preposterous hypothesis that is then played incredibly straight.
Yeah, for the longest time, I didn't even, like, Daredevil wasn't even on my radar. Because when I started reading, Miller was gone. I didn't read the Nocenti stuff until years later. And he was in the black body armor. I remember the first time I saw Wolverine fighting the Hand, I was like, oh, that's funny. And then years later, I realized Daredevil was so popular in the 1980s that the Turtles could be successful just by copying what Frank Miller was doing on that.
What did they copy? The two big trends of the day, the two best-selling trends of the day, Daredevil and Teenage Mutants.
Hey, man,
and the
why not?
Right, it works.
Yep.
Captain Marvel did it on Superman. Batman copied Zorro in the Shadow. It's like this whole industry is built on what do I like about that book. But the thing that separates this from radioactive black belt hamsters and all the other stuff that came out is there's a genuine love here. Eastman and Laird in different times in their careers, they keep coming back to these characters. This isn't just money, and they made all the money there was to make in the world on this stuff, but they keep coming back to it because it's like, no, we actually like them. So that's why we're still talking about them now. It's why my kids will probably grow up and realize they have a favorite turtle. It's good to go back and look at this and be like, oh yeah, this was an interesting artifact, but it's not inconsistent with where they were and where they end up.
Right.
The more accurate thing when I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, these ain't your daddy's Ninja Turtles. They're not going to be your grandkids' Ninja Turtles.
True.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into the summary.
Let's do it.
TMNT body count.
TMNT body count.
Body count. Body count.
Body count.
Body count. Body Count is a relentless, ultraviolet crime saga that throws Casey Jones and Raphael into a world far darker. And we might have made an argument against that, but than their usual street level vigilantism. The story begins.
Well, it's far darker than what everybody in the world knew who the Ninja Turtles were in 1996. But most everybody in the world thought they were just teenagers who ate like marshmallow pizza.
Right.
So I think it's fair to say that most people, this was, even if they did have dark roots and they did have a comic book that was published where darker things happened, that's just not what most people associate with the Turtles. Also, can you imagine in 1988 when cartoon first drops? And you're like, oh, my kid loves these Ninja Turtles, and you go buy him a Ninja Turtles comic. That's one of the reasons the Archie comic exists, so you can buy comics for kids.
I got the Archie comics as a kid because my parents were like, oh, this is like that thing you're obsessed with. Right. Keep making us buy all the crap for. And then they accidentally got me one of the Mirage ones. And I was like, well, wait a second, what is this?
Right.
And then as soon as I realized when I went to the comic book store to buy Spider-Man and X-Men, I was like, wait, there are black and white turtle books where they actually use their weapons. I was going for them. And I was very lucky because I was able to figure this out relatively early. So I have a mostly complete run of the original Mirage books. They're like 5th printings or whatever, but I never see that stuff out in the wild.
Right, dude.
No.
I think I've told you guys this story. I think I've seen one Mirage TMNT comic, and it was at a Hills, and it had a sticker on it. They would put the little sticker up at the top, $1.99 or whatever it was. But because it was a black and white comic that I have not seen anywhere else, I don't know why Hills, of all places, had this.
Is that like a Walmart?
Yes, dude. It's
like,
a department
store, right?
Yeah, and it was sitting.
It's a department store.
It's laying on the bottom shelf, like just a stack of these comics sitting there. I don't know who made the decision to buy these, but they were back in the toy department, which is probably where they should have been because you put them right by the toys. I think that's probably pretty smart. But anyway, that's the only black and white turtle comic I have. I wish I could tell you which one it was. I think it was issue. Now, I'm not even going to be able to tell you.
Issue 69.
Bro.
It didn't go up that high.
No, I know it didn't.
Okay.
I wish I could tell you which one it was.
My favorite one is issue 2 because they realized this was a huge hit. It sold out. They made their money back. They realized this might actually be a thing they have to do. So you see them scramble, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We killed the Shredder. Again, this is early on. They haven't yet introduced the Kirby-esque aliens and interdimensionality and all the other stuff they're going to get to. It's a very imaginative run.
They never imagined they were going to do it too.
No. But these are very imaginative guys. So like the second issue, you meet April and Baxter Stockman, and again they're parodies, right? April was drawn to look like, I think it was Kevin Eastman's girlfriend at the time. Baxter Stockman is based on the Baxter paper that we were printing on at the time. They keep running the joke, but at some point it clicks that this is going to be something we can actually do. So I love reading that because you can see it. It's like an Amazing Spider-Man #1 when Ditko and Lee realize, like, oh, that wasn't just a random, we're actually going to have to figure out this weird kid's storyline. And thank God Ditko came up with all those villains. But I love that moment where they realize, like, oh, this joke, everyone's laughing at this joke we told, and now we actually have to do an ongoing book.
I'll figure out what issue that was. I'll bring it up here in a little bit. I know it was way later in the run, obviously. I feel like I picked that up in 90, I think it was 93, 94, something like that.
Probably volume 2.
Not,
Watch it be #1.
No, it certainly was not.
It's a first printing of #1 that Jesse's been sitting on this entire time, propping up the water heater or something.
Like that guy who used an Avengers #1 on his mannequin.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Ditko gave away original art to whoever was delivering the FedEx.
All right. So our story begins in New York's Lower East Side, where Casey is already battered in a barroom brawl when he collides with a mysterious woman named Midnight. Her past quickly catches up to...
Jesse, do you know why it starts in the Lower East Side?
I have no idea.
Because that's where Jack Kirby was from.
All right.
Any chance Eastman had to sneak in a reference to the King, he did. And granted, for a while, it was a very dangerous area. That's why it starts down there, because he's like, 50 years ago, this would have been Suicide Slum or where the Guardian was from. That's specifically why it starts down
Well, that's
there.
cool. That's really cool. Yeah, it's not a very welcoming place, at least depicted in this book, that's for sure.
No, 20 or 30 years ago, it would have been terrible. Today, it's fine. We go there for brunch.
So, yeah, he gets thrown out of a window, ends up basically flying into a girl by the name of Midnight. Her past quickly catches up to her as elite hitman Johnny Woowoo tracks her down, triggering a massacre that spills from bars into city streets. Through fractured flashbacks to Hong Kong, it's revealed that Midnight was once part of some type of criminal operation and was framed during a deadly setup that left her wounded, and Johnny convinced she betrayed him. With Raphael crashing into the conflict, the three escape together, but it's immediately clear that this violence is only spreading. As Midnight flees New York with Casey and Raphael, Johnny pursues them relentlessly, leaving a trail of explosions, public shootouts, and civilian casualties in his wake. Law enforcement slowly closes in, led by Detective Choi, whose calm and calculating refusal to intervene allows criminals to destroy each other while he watches from the sidelines. The chase leads to Pittsburgh, where Midnight seeks refuge with underworld figures such as Courtney and later a guy by the name of Martin, a crime boss operating out of a decaying church. Meanwhile, flashbacks reveal the larger conspiracy behind the chaos. Crime lord Dong orchestrated the original Hong Kong setup, seeing Midnight, her lover Lee, and Johnny as threats to his power. Johnny, unknowingly manipulated, has become the perfect weapon now to eliminate them all. The conflict reaches its apex inside Martin's church, where Johnny launches a full-scale assault. Dong's men end up joining in the firefight, and the police surround the building, waiting for the carnage to resolve itself. Casey fully embraces his role, donning a Stars and Stripes mask that we see on the cover of issue 1.
It's like he was about to fight in Operation Desert Storm. It looked like when Sting and when Hulk Hogan would have the face paint and he had all the tassels for freedom.
Yes.
Casey Jones, Operation Desert Storm.
So yeah, Raphael unleashes his fury amid the bloodshed. In the final confrontation, Midnight reveals the truth to Johnny. Dong engineered the entire disaster, intending for them all to die. The ultimate revelation lands with tragic force. Johnny and Midnight are brother and sister. Johnny's refusal to abandon his identity as a hitman seals his fate. Forced into ritual combat, Midnight kills Johnny to end the cycle of manipulation. It was more like, hey, you guys can resolve your stuff right here. Nobody uses guns. You guys just use blades, and we get this huge fight. In the aftermath, Raphael's plea against endless violence briefly halts the bloodbath, but any illusion of sanctuary is destroyed when Martin detonates the church, erasing evidence and loose ends. A final twist exposes Detective Choi as a collaborator in Dong's scheme, proving that the system enabling the violence remains intact. Midnight disappears into the criminal underworld while Casey and Raphael survive, scarred, shaken, but alive, walking away from the wreckage and hitchhiking back to New York.
Mm-hmm. And the Bronx, which for some reason is listed separately.
Yeah. And the Bronx. The cover to the first issue is awesome. We already talked about the Stars and Stripe mask. I made sure to put that in my synopsis about how you see that on the cover and you're just waiting for him to get it. I didn't think it was going to show up until finally, just randomly in a box of weapons that this Martin guy has, he finally
puts... Well, it's not random. He's a soothsayer.
A soothsayer, okay. Oh, so he saw this, like...
Remember, he said, I see everything that's going to happen. He says, I know everything that's going to happen, so here, I've got your shit. I know what shit you need.
Okay. So now I took it as this guy's a drug dealer and he was using his own supply. And I was just like, he is...
Hey, porque no los dos?
Okay.
There's no reason they can't both be true.
All right.
Why not both?
And you could just sense how violent and over the top this is going to be just looking at this cover, but I don't think you're prepared until you dive into this thing, just how bloody and disgusting it's going to be.
Until you're reading the real thing.
I did get a little confused when it came to the Hong Kong flashback. All it would have took was just something like last year or something on there, but all of a sudden it just cuts to Hong Kong. I don't know if that happened in your guys' book, but it did in mine. Yeah. I didn't know if it was a present. Finally figured out.
Jesse, we don't do editors at Early Image Comics. People draw things, someone else puts some words of dialogue in there, and then that thing goes right out the door. There are no editors at Early Image Comics. No one read this thing before it ended up.
Who was it? Was it McFarlane that was listing his wife as somebody on the creative team, like as an editor or something? I cannot remember.
Yeah.
It sounds like something he had to do in the early days. Yeah.
And then I think the other thing that I loved out of the first issue, our introduction to Casey Jones right off the bat. He's in the middle of a fight. And our introduction to Raphael coming down straight from the rooftop or wherever he was at.
What was he doing there?
I think he was looking for Casey. That's the only thing I can think of.
I don't care because it's cool.
Hell yes, it is.
Well, he was not getting pizza because he hates that.
Pizza's out.
Done.
These ain't your grandkids, Turtles.
I really like that line. I may use that. I really like that.
I did have some visceral reactions to the bloodletting that was going on, like parts of people flying, innocent bystanders.
What? You say that like that's something that you do in the hospital, right? You're going to have to bleed. There's too much blood. You're making it sound nice. This is visceral.
It really is. You watch as they're walking down the street. I think it was an issue too. Like they've got costumes on, trying to somewhat blend in, but that's not going to get past Johnny Woowoo. And Johnny Woowoo.
She breaks one of the cardinal rules. She goes back into the city to get her stuff. If Hitman's after you, you can't go get your stuff.
Yeah. Nope. They're going to find you. You just know that Bisley's not going to let up on the violence here at all.
It's not even just the violence, though. It's easy to point the finger at the Biz coming off ABC Warriors like he was, but the way Midnight is drawn, the language, like I don't think Raphael ever swears, but there's definitely swears in here. So this whole thing is pointed squarely at a different demographic. It's interesting to watch the way it unfolds. I love the narrative with the guns that unfolds during the entire thing. Casey's just like, I hate guns. If I can't hit you with a hockey stick, I'm not interested in it. And eventually towards the end, like Raph almost gets comfortable with that, as if they were setting you up for him to be comfortable with that. I really like it because it's a creator-owned brand and you're watching it evolve in real time. I thought it was really interesting for that, if nothing else.
Yeah, and we can't blame. You can't be like, oh, Bisley did this or Bisley did that. Kevin Eastman wrote it.
Right.
I can't say whether he did full script or they did it Marvel style or whatever, but if Kevin Eastman didn't like it, it wouldn't have gone out.
No, I'm sorry. That's absolutely not what I meant. I wasn't trying to say that Bisley went off the rails and no one stopped.
Oh, no, you weren't saying that at all. We should be careful what we're attributing.
Yeah. Hey, man, Eastman wrote The Last Ronin. Have you guys read The Last Ronin?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think anything is off the table with Kevin Eastman. Later on, he goes to be publisher of Heavy Metal. I assume Bisley still contributes. So no, I'm not in any way saying it's not what he intended. I know from other work of his that Bisley tends, like Lobo, when he was on Lobo for a very long time, the first time I saw his work, he would add things. He's a professional artist, a professional storyteller. He doesn't just do whatever. So I was trying to say, you don't know how much of this, to your point, was in Eastman's script, if there was a script, or how much of it was like, hey, Marvel style, these are the beats we got to hit, go to town, and then you get the pages back, and it's like, oh man, I don't even need that much dialogue. You told the story viscerally.
Yeah, and I think they worked together under the Tundra umbrella too. I think Bisley did some stuff with Tundra, especially when it combined with Atomica. And so like it could just be like it could be a Stan. I mean, I'm not saying Eastman did this by any means, but there could be a Stan Lee plot element to it. It's like, go off the rails with that hyper-violent shit you love to do. Or like when two wrestlers like Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat would get together, they'd wrestled like 500 times. Like, you want to do this? You want to do the old stuff? Yeah, let's do the old stuff. And that's it. They didn't have to say a whole lot about it because they're already so familiar with the style. Kevin Eastman would own heavy metal at one point. He loves this shit. Like, he loves that British, almost everything looking jagged, that 2000 AD influence. He loves that shit, and there's nothing wrong with it.
The grit.
No, not at all. No.
Jesse hates him for it, but I'm think it's fine. I don't
Jesse,
think Jesse
you hate 2000 AD? You can tell us.
He hates 2000 AD because there's no side force. They're just mean machines.
Yeah.
Oh, he hates 2000 AD because he's just outside Mega City. Do you remember,
remember that?
Yep.
I remember.
We're not quite in Mega City 1. Yeah. We're pretty much smack dab in Mega City.
We're in the Northeast Corridor. Jesse's right outside. He's in the wasteland.
Wasteland. I remember asking about the wasteland.
Yeah.
All right. My next favorite moment is Raphael. They make a point of Raphael trying to put his finger in the hole where the trigger's at, and he can't fit his finger in there to pull the trigger. But Raphael with guns, I don't know why, but I'm here for it. I love seeing him drawn. I don't know if I've ever seen him wielding automatic weapons, and this is where I get to see it. I liked it there at the beginning. Obviously, he's going to turn a new leaf as we get towards the end. I loved it, and I thought it was hilarious. He was complaining about how he couldn't get his finger in there to pull the trigger. Also, Raphael wearing jeans. That's a new one for me. I've never seen any of the Turtles wearing jeans before, and that happens in this comic. I loved it. They get to the bar in Pittsburgh. They're hanging out. I think this is either between...
You think that he got those jeans because Rob Liefeld sold them to him? He's like, those are the jeans.
Oh, deep cut. Deep cut. And yes, the answer to that is absolutely yes. That's headcanon.
There's a bar, and this is just Bisley being Bisley. I don't know what was happening in this bar scene in Pittsburgh, where there's a dude wearing a Jason mask, Friday the 13th Jason mask. A lot of gruesome stuff going on in that bar while they're trying to sit down. They had just had dinner, and all these people were
they're smoking.
Yeah, maiming each other. Yeah, smoking. That's actually one of the worst parts of this book. No, I'm just kidding.
A lot of smoking in this book, and you don't see that anymore.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's Hellblazer. I think they still let Johnny smoke.
There you go. Let's see. Issues 3 final splash page, which is Casey and Raph coming out of the skylight. That was probably one of my top moments looking at this book and reading it. Just seeing those two guys come down. This is the final page of issue 3, and it is absolutely stunning. Issue 4, my notes for issue 4 were we got Raphael on the cover, and he's just like covered in weapons. He's got 2 guns in his hand and knives and blades all up and down.
Grenades. Pistols. There's an old Marvel magazine, Bizarre Adventures. I looked it up a second ago to make sure to get the issue number right. Bizarre Adventures number 31. The cover is a lady who's got a trench coat, and it says a hard look at violence. She's got a Tommy gun and grenades and knives. This cover reminded me of that.
Bizarre Adventures?
Of this Bizarre Adventures cover so much. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah.
She's got grenades. She's got like 4 guns. She's got like a trench knife. So I was like, that's good. I instantly thought of that.
Yeah. Issue 4 is also where Johnny decides to use a human shield and then put his gun and his hand in the dude's body.
Yeah.
And then walking forward, and at some point he pushes his hand through the body and starts shooting with both hands. So he's basically got a body on his arm. And I was like, that was disgusting. It's called
body armor.
Jesus Christ. How do you... He's still got a straight face, folks. I don't know how he's pulling it off, but he did it. Midnight's bad girl costume reveal when we get the fight. Wowzers.
Yep.
He looked like, you know what it reminded me of? Do you remember Tuck from Death's Head 2?
Yes. Because we were talking.
For whatever reason, for me, the aesthetic was very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Now, I don't know. Maybe that outfit was down there with the rest of the guns. Again, he was a soothsayer. He knew.
That's what I'm assuming.
Oh, shoot. When I sent... So, I know I told you guys I was going to run it past Chris, see if he wanted to be here tonight. I said, hey, we're going to be recording. I said, TMNT body count. I said, this is the plan. So he immediately sent me back a GIF of Opera Man going, Nipola, Nipola, Nipola. So I was like, what is he talking about here? Oh, I know now why he sent me something that was referencing nipples. Because there's quite a few of them, not bare, but almost. I mean, it is not Bisley's...
These ain't your grandkids Ninja Turtles.
That's right. And
you see that? There's a little sexiness, a little violence.
I know I'm jumping way ahead. I'm getting my notes out of the way. I want to get your guys' thoughts. I know we talked a little bit
Jesse,
about...
time is an illusion, man. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're at the end of the book. We're at the beginning of the book.
That's right.
We're talking about nonsense came long after, long before, man. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Well, okay, Derry, so what did you think about Raph's anti-violence monologue here in the middle of this?
The way I read it as, like, this body count is the franchise going through puberty, right? And like Raph is standing there, he's the voice box, and he's saying, no, man, we don't need this level of violence. Me and my brothers dispatched all these ninja throughout the probably four of the five boroughs by using the flat of our blades and things like that.
You don't think they went to Staten Island?
I don't think a Ninja Turtle's ever been to Staten Island. Well, they'd have to get on the boat. There's no ninja training that allows you to get on a boat. So I don't think they've ever been.
You don't think that there's aquatic ninja training?
You think they got in the bay and went down to Staten Island? All right.
I think they have a turtle van and a turtle blimp. There's got to be a turtle boat.
That's true. If I saw the turtle blimp on the Jersey Turnpike, I actually wouldn't even.
At the same time, I agree with you. There's never been a turtle on Staten Island because you don't go to Staten Island if you don't have to.
That's my job.
Like Shredder would not go to Staten Island, neither would Krang. So the turtles never had to go there.
Krang would do very well there, though. I think politically, he could probably run for council.
The Triceratops wanted to take over all of New York City except Staten Island. Like you keep doing whatever.
They were like, no, we don't want that. That's yours. You guys get to keep that one. The smelly little thing to the south.
But back to your point about the series growing up.
Yeah, it felt very meta to me, right? It felt like Casey Jones is a violent guy. He's always been this way. Going back to the introduction, this allows him a little bit more maturity. But again, Raph is Raph, right? Raph is a world-renowned superhero child's character. I felt like that monologue was the last-ditch effort of the meta-narrative trying to poke its way through. But I also don't think it's bad, because even if the character acknowledges it, it's like you're running around with size that Elektra used to murder a whole bunch of people. If you didn't have such a fan base that was so young, you would have continued to do that in your books as well. So again, in a lot of ways, it doesn't feel out of character. It just feels like it's the character almost being like, oh man, yeah, this does feel more natural. To your point, Jesse, when he's using guns towards the end, it's like, yeah, if that had happened in issue like 3 or 4 before Playmates showed up, that wouldn't have been all that surprising. It would have felt at home in an 80s black and white comic that, again, wasn't meant for people reading Spider-Man or something like that. So I do think it makes sense for the way they presented the story here.
I don't have a problem with it, because for me, it was like when Daredevil lectures the Punisher. It's almost like the state claims a monopoly on violence. And I think a lot of the quote-unquote better superheroes do the same. Daredevil, the Ninja Turtles, versus like the Punisher's violence. That violence is bad. Our violence is good violence. And it's the violence that works and is necessary. Your violence is bad. And I think that clash of philosophies is one of the things that makes superhero comic books interesting, is what is the line you cross? Because like, if we watch a Batman movie It's fine if Batman kills the Joker in the 1989 movie and nobody was like, I can't believe Batman killed somebody. But in the comic books where these things happen all the time, Batman can't kill anybody. He doesn't kill people. I think this was a better representation of that argument. I also think that when Raphael's talking to them, you're supposed to see it as part, not necessarily heavy-handed or everything, but it's kind of a gun control speech. It's not that because Raphael he has choices to make with the Psy. And Donatello and Leonardo and Michelangelo, they can change their lethality based on the situation. But if you get on the business end of a gun, it doesn't really matter. I can't change the bullet once it comes out. So I think that was another thing that was going on here. I don't even mean that Kevin Eames was like, I got to put a gun control argument in here. I think that Raphael was just speaking about the reality of violence, even though it was just a very unreal thing. And if Raphael at this point was like, I've seen 643,118 bodies riddled with bullets over the last 3 days on this trip to Pittsburgh. I did not see the Pirates. I did not see the Penguins. I did not see the Steelers. None of the good stuff. But I have seen all these bodies. I'd like to not see so many bodies in the future.
That's fair. I'm going to share my screen. Dean, you're going to be up first, and we kind of talked about this already, but I need at least to understand what has happened.
He's surprised. You know what he looks like? Honestly, he looks like somebody who just got beat on a fighting game.
He does too. And
the other guy's talking some shit. The other guy's like, "Yeah, I made you drop your cigarette with my super kick or whatever."
That's his manager. That's his manager behind him. It's going to be round 2 up next. Listen, Mac, join the Nintendo Power Club today.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that fucking tip, you piece of fucking shit.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I would be like, okay, I'm paying attention. I was paying attention to Mike Tyson's Punch Out, waiting for this tip. Then that's the tip. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm trying to beat Bald Bull for the second time here. I got to beat him again because he's back for some reason.
Oh, man. I just, like I said earlier, I just feel like as we went on in this, there was some crazy hyper-violence going on, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if substances were involved here, I have no idea, but I swear I could not understand some of the stuff that was going on the page. This is the prime example, and probably the best example that I could point to.
I'll tell you what, you can criticize Bisley for some things, but not detail. That guy gets some detail in there.
That's the truth.
Agreed.
That is the
truth. He reminds me of Kevin O'Neill, the guy who did the League Martial Law, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And he's a guy who the art style, they clearly are from the same school. I am a novice when it comes to describing art or understanding it, but you're right with the level of detail. It's astounding. But with his, it always seems to serve the narrative. With this, I'm looking at this page and I'm just like, I don't want to look at this. This is uncomfortable. This is making me very uncomfortable looking at this.
And maybe that's part of the charm too, is like there's big money in art that makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason. And I think he's very good at it. That's why I would not say that this is in any way bad or technically not good. I think that's what he's going for, and he accomplishes that. And obviously, he's incredibly successful and lauded by his peers. It's one of those things where some people look at a piece of art and say, I love that, and I know why I love that. Others say, I love it, I don't know why. I don't like it, but I have trouble articulating it sometimes. This panel in particular, though, makes me uncomfortable.
To describe to our listeners, we have Detective Choi and his bodyguard. The church just blew up. Choi was very astounded, but what really sets this panel off is the chimpanzee and the elephant and the little rabbit coming out of the chimpanzee's hat. The chimpanzee is dressed like a leprechaun. At this point, I was like, okay, I understand what you guys are saying now. This is drawn to make you go, okay, what's going on, and make you feel uncomfortable. And you're right. He definitely nails that.
I have to assume, knowing very little about the artist the way I do, that if you had lived under the rule of Margaret Thatcher, I'm sure this panel has much more significance to both your worldview and your view on art in general. I'm sure there's meaning in here that we can't discern because we didn't live through that.
That's true.
Fair.
All right, my final notes. I think that was it. Aside from we got a nice... the ending to this is the guy's getting back to New York, which is expected. They got to figure out a way to get back. It's a happy ending in the fact that, okay, it's over.
They didn't get shot.
They are alive.
I mean, 243 million people get shot in these 4 issues, and 2 of them.
There is a body count.
There is a body count. Very good. Oh, man.
They weren't, like I said, they weren't lying when they put the title on the book.
Jesse, just for that, you get to come into Mega City 1. You come up to the doors. We'll meet you there. We'll get you. We'll get you.
But if a judge shows up, I'm selling you out, man.
Oh, yeah. I was like, he's a mutant cannibal. He's trying to get in. I don't know what this Ohio thing is, but he tricked us.
That's perfect.
I heard he hates judges.
That'll go over real well. Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to get him to not pay attention to me, because that's ultimately how fascism works. Is it gets you to sell out your neighbor, like, don't pay attention to me, whatever it takes for you to not pay attention to me.
Seriously.
I'm never coming there. Just
you're better off where you are.
All right, that's all I had. I blasted through all 4 pages or 4 books in my notes here. Dean, I'll throw it to you first. Your thoughts on Body Count?
All right. Sadly, this is one of those books that I just didn't really enjoy. I really prefer when we do stuff that I like. I didn't hate this. That's the other thing. I didn't hate this to a point where it's funny or I think it's bad. I just didn't love it. There's some stuff like the whole subplot with the cop. It's utterly unnecessary. It does nothing to add anything. Also, and this is me being very pedantic if anybody ever hears this, who's like, wow, fuck you. You're being pedantic. I know. Their interstates are all wrong.
They are. Too. That bothered me so much. I was so annoyed by that. I have never been so mad at a comic than when it says they've reached Grand Central in New York and whatever he drew, it's like, this is not a well-known building. I don't know what this is. You could have drawn one of 1,000 different pictures. You picked 1001. You pick something that in no way represents where the characters are supposed to be. My annoyance was outsized.
So then you get what I'm saying. I think the thing is like he's just picking interstates and thinking like, I don't think they thought about it. That's the thing is I think they'd be like, who cares? But for whatever reason, to get that verisimilitude or whatever, that's the kind of stuff that I want you to get right.
Right.
At one point, they're going from New York to Pittsburgh. They start talking about Philly for 2 pages. Yeah. They're going to Philly.
Choi went to Philly for some reason, and I was like,
okay. That's just confusing.
Yeah.
Isn't Philly on the way? No, Pittsburgh, you got to go up.
Yeah. But they had like 95, which would take you to Philly, and then they had like I-93, which is an interstate that goes from Boston to Vermont. So that's like in your area. Yeah. And then they had I-90, which is the longest running interstate in the United States. It goes from like Seattle to Boston, but it doesn't go through Pittsburgh. It goes through Pennsylvania, at Erie, Pennsylvania, close to Lake Erie. It hugs the lake and eventually winds up in Chicago. So anyhow, that bothered me for no reason. I was like, what the fuck?
I think between the Biz, presumably being from England, and Eastman,
I should give him a pass for that.
Well, but again, it goes back to what I was saying before. It really does come down to it. There really wasn't an editor on this book. And I'm not even saying that's a negative thing because I think what you get is pure.
It's raw.
Right. It's what they intended.
Sugarcane, raw.
That image feel, right? It's this is what we want to do. It's raw. So I'm almost for it. But to Dean's point, that definitely pulls me out of it 30 years later where I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, guys, come on, take the extra 5 minutes, break out an atlas or something. I get it. You guys didn't have Wikipedia back then, but just break out an atlas and be like, how do you get from New York to Pittsburgh? It's a drive many people I know have made.
Now, if they did it Marvel style and he's just coming up with road signs, I guess that's fine.
What
were you going to say?
I was going to lean in here real quick. There was a point where they were talking about, Midnight starts talking about her lover, Lee, who it just came out of nowhere. It feels like we were missing parts of the story, or it was just like, here's a story. This person's got to have this motivation, so we're going to give her a lover involved here, too. None of that was mentioned in the flashback when it happened, but then she starts talking about it, and I'm like, where did this fucking dude come from? It really isn't that big of a part of the story, and probably another one of those things that could have been done without. It didn't really add much to it. It did kind of confuse me a little bit when I was reading it.
I think they wanted it to feel like a John Woo movie. Everything is just constantly moving, and there's this exposition that comes up. I think they were going for it. Whether they succeeded or not is up to you. I'm not going to say that they didn't, because they probably, it's hard to transverse mediums.
Yeah.
As far as transversing mediums, it probably did, considering there's a Turtle and Casey Jones in it.
I did a pretty good job.
I think they did a pretty good job, all things considered.
Yeah.
That's my next complaint, though, is like Casey Jones does nothing in this thing.
Nothing. Absolutely. He does
Nothing.
Yeah.
Casey Jones is my second favorite Ninja Turtles character.
Is your first a Ninja Turtle, or
It's
is it?
gotta be Raph.
It's Donatello.
I knew it was Donatello. I don't know why I knew, but I knew it was Donatello.
I love Donatello.
You're contemplative. You're 3 steps ahead of everyone. You want to see the big board. You're Donatello. You're the guy.
I can identify with any of the Ninja Turtles besides Cyclops ass Leonardo.
You're so mean to him.
I like, but you're right. I need to be nicer to Leonardo because he's cool.
He deserves it. I saw that 4th movie. I'm just saying, you are mean to him, even if he deserves for you to be mean to him.
But no, Donatello's my guy. And then I like Casey Jones, which I think really neatly sums up the dichotomy of my mental state. These two characters couldn't be much farther apart. Love them both. There's just not really much of anything for Casey to do. Casey doesn't do much, like he saves Raph in issue 4, but otherwise he doesn't even wear a mask for most of it. He doesn't even have a hockey stick or a cricket bat or anything. So I don't know. I'm a big Casey Jones fan, and so it just sucked to not see him do more. I'll try and end it on a positive note. I appreciate, I think Bisley does best, for me, when he, I love a big Bisley. I love the double page spread of Raph ninja kicking Johnny Woowoo, the double page spread of the church. I also love some of his character work. He drew a lot of dead bodies that looked different.
That's true. They were all unique.
I think you got to give him a lot of credit for that. It wasn't just that. I really liked the bouncer at Club Dad. I felt bad when he died. That dude looked cool as hell. He looked like he had left the Dreadnoks and lived. I really appreciated that about him. I want to end on a positive note and say, you can tell so much work went into this. I may have other things to say, too. If it comes up, I'll just cut somebody off because I got important things to say.
Have you guys ever watched the BBC sitcom from the 90s, Spaced?
I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
So I can't recommend it enough. Even if you haven't seen it, the main character played by Simon Pegg is actually named Tim Bisley. And he is an aspiring comic book artist. I'm remembering back to the art they showed in the show. I'm pretty sure it was drawn by the Biz.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So
That sounds right. This sounds like something I've heard before.
Yeah, and I didn't know that at the time because I remember the art they used in the show was incredibly stylized, and I think I hadn't quite made the connection. But once I realized who Bisley was, it's kind of obvious. Anyone out there who loves this art, go check out Space. I would go check out Space no matter what, but definitely if you like that. And then the other thing I was going to say, I'm with Dean. I also very much like Casey Jones. I think he's a great character. I thought recently it was funny that everyone was talking about how much they love the character of Absolute Batman. The main change they had made between normal Batman and Absolute Batman was they took his fortune away from him. And
Absolute Batman is poor.
Well, so Absolute Batman, he has to work for a living, and his tools or whatever he can get his hands on. And I remember thinking at the time, this is very similar to Casey Jones, right? Casey Jones just woke up one day and decided, well, my hockey career is over. I don't have a lot going on for me, but there's a lot of crime in New York. I'm going to do what I can to help my neighbors and protect people. And he's got sticks. He's in pretty good shape. He's a young guy.
I got to use this golf club for something.
Hey, man, why not, right? He says he doesn't like guns. He's not trying to add to the violence. He just want to save people. And I always thought that about Absolute Batman, where it was that's very similar to Casey Jones. Him running around in sweatpants in Midtown trying to save people in tourists. I thought that was an interesting parallel. I also really like Casey Jones. As far as body count, you have to take it at face value, right? You have to take it that it's a forced maturation of the TMNT brand, that it's incredibly stylized artwork, and that it is canon, right? It really is. Eastman's name is all over this thing. And I think if you do all those things, you get a really solid comic. I would say my only real complaint, and I don't know if it was on purpose, was when Midnight puts on that costume. And I was just like, what is going on here? And I always find that to be the hardest.
Sex sells, baby. Sex sells.
But part of me is like, is that it? Because everything else he draws is so stylized. It's almost gross.
It's gross.
And I don't mean that negative. I think he's trying to be gross.
Right.
And then the way he draws this woman is constantly really exaggerated.
Yeah.
And I know that was a thing at the time, but it's like, are you going for that? Do you think that's going to help the book? Or is that a commentary on the way other people draw these characters? I couldn't figure that out. When I say complain, I just mean that I couldn't rationalize that in my head. But that was really my only takeaway, where it was like, what is going on here? Like, when she actually changes, she's got like a full page spread. And I was just like, is this a commentary or are you serious? I couldn't tell.
It was over the top, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was.
Grabbed your attention.
Grab your attention.
Grab your attention. Grab your kittentions. Am I right? Look at Derry laughing like a seventh grader. I love it.
No,
I'm in
hey
seventh
man,
grade.
this is a seventh grader comic, right?
It
Think
is,
about
it
it.
is.
You're in middle school. You liked the Turtles when you were younger, but now you're at the age where it's like, man, I don't know. I'm interested in this other stuff. And then this thing comes along. It doesn't even say Ninja Turtles on top. And it's got a little bit of titillation, hyper-violence. It looks like all those movies you saw at the video store that you kind of want to check out. So I think that's the perfect way of describing it.
It is a non-stop comic, too. There are small pauses. I think the one that kind of made me go, whoa.
People sit around tables talking about how somebody's going to come shoot them, and then somebody comes and shoots
They're downstairs shooting right now. They don't hear anything until the guy comes upstairs and he's bleeding. There's a war zone downstairs. The one part where they were walking through the city and had the costumes on, they were just kind of talking for maybe about a page. And then I was like, oh, okay, they're going to finally figure out a way to get away from this guy. Nope. Here he comes again, and he's like laying everybody out, and there is a war zone on the street. They get into a Jeep at one point. I'm like, okay, things are going to calm down. And that's one thing they got across pretty well is Johnny Woowoo's relentless. They blow up that gas station, and there's just nothing but fire, but here comes Johnny Woowoo in his limousine, and he just blows right through it. He's still coming after you.
They both get that over by action and also by like midnight 3 sentences letting Johnny Woowoo's not going to give up on a contract. Johnny Woowoo, he never gives up on a contract. You don't understand. He's going to kill me. He never gives up on a contract.
All right, Derry, I interrupted you, man. Did you have anything else?
No, you absolutely did not interrupt me. I'm glad we read this, and I would definitely recommend it to people. It's an interesting artifact because in a world where the Ninja Turtles are owned by Nickelodeon, which I think is owned by Paramount or Viacom, they're a brand. This thing is probably not going to be reprinted anytime soon. I could be wrong. There could be one sitting on the shelf right now. But everyone decided this is what these characters are. And even when there are new volumes of The Last Ronin, which can get very dark, this is stylized in such a specific way that it harkens back to like the Turtles were meant to be comic book characters. We were inspired by everything we loved growing up, including the grim and gritty stuff, including Jack Kirby, including the more offbeat stuff, including the movies we were watching. We want to show you that through the lens of two of our favorite characters. I think this is a great example of what you can do in one medium and you can't do in another, and I was happy to reread it.
Dean, I can't thank you enough for giving me the opportunity to read it and talk about it. So
that's what I do. I grant wishes.
We are interested in, even if we don't know we're interested. The lesser man would just be like, nah, what? We're reading another 6 issues of The Punisher or Maximum Carnage again or whatever. But it's like, no, this is important. It is of the moment. It is rewarding. And it's not something that I've ever heard anyone else talk about. So you do, Grant.
Well, thanks. I try.
I want to share my screen one more time here because we got to get that answer to that question. Which Turtles comic that it was that I found on the bottom shelf of Hills. And it was this one right here, number 16. And it had to, I'm sure, been like a second print or something
that's a
like
cool
that.
cover.
Yeah, it's a great cover, yeah.
The little sticker was right up here in the top right on the comic. I did not try to take it off of there. This came out in 88. It definitely wasn't 88 when I bought this. So I don't know where they came across this or if they were just re-releasing it. I have no idea. Unfortunately, I've never given the black and white its due as far as sitting down and reading them all. A while back, I did a small special on, was it Fugitoid?
Fugitoid,
yeah. Which he appears in, what was the name of that?
Professor Honeycutt, as he prefers to be called.
Yeah.
He's got a great...
Yes.
No, his was one of my favorite toys, it really lent itself to that Playmates hyper stylized style. I love that toy. When I saw he had a comic, I was like, I have to have that. If you ever go back to that black and white stuff, what I always tell people who want to read the earlier ones is treat every issue as its own story. There are plots that continue, but each one is like, you could almost feel like, what are the creators interested in this month? There's no Marvel style. There's no Stan Lee or Julia Schwartz standing over them. At this point, Eastman and Laird are busy empire building. More power to them. I'm incredibly jealous as a child and as an adult of what they got to do. The characters go off the deep end. They time travel. They do everything else. Don't think of it as reading like the first 50 issues of X-Men or something like that. It's like, pick up whatever random ones you want to do and just say, okay, what are those 6 adventures these guys are going to do? Towards the end, they get into the meta arc. I think it's called City at War, and that's really like Crisis on Infinite Turtledom. But for the most part, it's like what are these indie creators? How do they want their voice presented this month? And just go to town. But don't think of it as one big 50-issue story. It never landed that way for me.
All right,
like City at War, it's loosely the inspiration for Turtles Forever, right?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Now, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same. But like it does, it gets meta. There's different iterations of Turtles and Shredder and that kind of thing.
Ooh.
I think the idea was, if we're going to end the comic, which was where it all began, let's have our final statement. And of course, they get to the end of it and they love it and they kept going, and there's still Turtle comics today.
Right.
There might have been a little lull for a while, but I think for the most part, we're pretty regularly published.
That's part of Laird's deal when he sold.
Yes, you're right.
He's allowed to make a certain amount of Ninja Turtles comics.
Yeah.
I think him and Eastman are both like advisors to the Ninja Turtles, both comics and merchandise.
Yeah, Eastman.
Consultant.
I think it was yesterday or something. I mentioned before, Secret of the Ooze is 35 years old. They're re-releasing it, and Eastman shot new scenes or something. He's going to be involved in some material way. I think Laird might be retired, but to your point, Dean, for a while, he was writing comics while Nickelodeon was paying the bills, and they were just like, nope, this is what he said he wanted. He can go to town.
Yep.
Me and Armstrong are going to get around to covering the movie adaptation of the 2007 movie.
Which one is that? The one that's called TMNT?
Yeah, that's with the Watch.
I remember liking it, but have not seen it in so long. I should watch it again.
Go on YouTube, type in Raph versus Leo, TMNT 2007. Just watch it. It's 10 minutes. It's a direct continuation of their fraternal struggle from the preceding 3 films. And it's just the two of them yelling at each other like siblings do. At the end, to quote Fight Club, nothing is solved, but nothing matters. It's a beautiful scene. I truly love TMNT 2007. After the first film, I think it's my favorite.
All right. Well, guys, we did it. We talked Body Count. It is in the books. Dean Compton, why don't you tell everybody all about the Unspoken Decade?
I have a different thing to talk about first.
Okay, perfect.
Because today it's Matthew Price's birthday. So happy birthday. When you're listening to this later, happy birthday now and then.
That's right.
Speedy Bullet Comics, spcomics.com. Check them out on Facebook and eBay as well. And I'm going to give him that plug. So that's what he gets today.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
All right. Anything else you want to plug? Or we heading in?
You can just go into yours, man. It's all about spcomics.com today, man. They got a lot of good stuff. And if you're in Norman, Oklahoma, you're going to want to drop by. A lot of great trade paperbacks, big sales all the time. I'm telling you, man, and they'll get you any issue of Supreme for $2 million.
The Supreme deal.
It's a Supreme deal. They'll probably, listen, if you don't want to pay that much for it, they'll get you one for less. But if you wanted to pay $2 million, they absolutely would do it.
They may work with you. Well, we've got a lot of episodes in the archives where we had a chance to talk with Matthew Price. My goodness. We did, name them off here, Dean. We did Superman.
Time and time again.
Time and time again.
We did Panic in the Sky.
Panic in the Sky.
He was with us.
Yes, he was.
Seems like there's something else I'm missing.
We appreciate Matthew Price, and we wish him a happy birthday. Let's go ahead and get on out of here. Over there is Dean Compton. Down there is Derry Waite. I'm Jesse Starcher. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.